Hiya Hinsters, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome too. How you doing? My name is Hinny, I'm a spiritual astrologer, and you can like this video if you like what I do, and subscribe if you haven't already. This is going to be a very quick one on the Mercury retrograde. And the first thing I want to say is that the typical Mercury retrograde stuff is possibly already happening right now as I film on the 12th of December / 13th of December. Typical retrograde things do include miscommunications. We've got Sagittarius season as well, so lots of like the wrong things coming out of the mouth or sending the wrong message to the wrong person. Also exes coming back, or ex-lovers, ex-enemies, ex-colleagues coming back, or some people in some sense coming out of the woodwork. And you just have to laugh really with Mercury retrograde. We've got Mercury in Capricorn this time, so there's often a very it's often called like dark humor, or there's a cynicism sometimes, or there's just something like funny, like an old man laughing at you with Mercury in Capricorn. And you just have to laugh again in general at Mercury retrograde, because Mercury retrograde, as kind of like hystericized, if that's a word, as it really is just another god expressing something for us to converse with or learn from. And that lesson, that something, is often about how serious do we take ourselves? Like, how much are we just walking bullshit or bullshitting ourselves and others? And also Mercury retrograde brings these lessons of, to what extent are you going to take things seriously just because the smaller things in life don't work out, like transport fails, or the printer breaks, or your plane that you booked, the tickets you booked to something gets cancelled, or something like that, or some event gets cancelled. Like, how much is it going to be the end of the world for you? And how much are you just going to be like, oh, well, okay, let me reroute, or let me go to the plan B, the plan C, or let me just be me, or let me just be free, and accept some of the things that happen that are completely out of our control. Anyway, this Mercury retrograde is in the sign of Capricorn, the cardinal earth sign, from around December 12th to January 3rd. I do have some videos already on like Mercury retrograde more in general, if you want to know what like retrogrades are in more depth. But very briefly, a retrograde is, from our perspective on Earth, this idea that a planet is moving backwards. It's not really, but it's a perspective thing. And retrogrades, Mercury retrograde being the most popular, they have this reputation for being bad, or full of problems, or you shouldn't go on a date during a retrograde, you shouldn't sign a contract, you shouldn't get on a flight. I think this will be the case for many people, but also I do think that there is, again, hysteria, and that's not the only trick Mercury has in the book, and more generally in ancient astrology, a retrograde was seen as simply a reversal of things. So you just need to know which two houses Mercury rules in your birth chart. So that's wherever you have Gemini and Virgo. So they're the two houses that Mercury rules, and Mercury is retrograding in the sign of Capricorn, so expressing those themes, or some of those themes, from those two houses in your Capricorn house. So you do need to know your rising sign, and then you can figure out where the signs are in your houses, which signs are in which houses. But that's all it is, reversals a lot of the time. And that can be good, that can be bad, that can be neutral. Maybe you've been having a really good time in your Capricorn house, and then Mercury is turning retrograde and it's less good or less desirable. Or maybe it's been the opposite. Things have been kind of rough, and then Mercury going retrograde in your Capricorn house can turn things around and reverse that rough fortune. And Mercury is this god of things like play. And check out my Mercury in Capricorn video for more on that. Um, some of the things that I have here, just kind of reflected on and downloaded for this particular transit, is like paying respect to your elders, your ancestors, and saying thank you for family gifts and the blessings that you have from your family. So it can be a great time for many people to just revisit the past or roots in some sense. And also, Mercury in Capricorn going retrograde can be like, it's very much about like just mind your business. um, it's, how can I describe it? It's sort of like you're in a company or a group of friends or whatever, and you're trying to meddle in someone else's business or really push something on someone else. And Capricorn kind of has this way of breaking or snapping things in areas that you don't expect or areas that you are not focusing on or obsessing. So it's kind of like, you should be doing your job or performing your role in this company, or you should be just being yourself in this group of friends. But because you're so obsessed with pushing something or forcing something, you kind of miss the things that are your actual job description, or you miss the point of actually being a friend. That will make sense for some people, but it's kind of like, again, like I said, minding our business or not minding our business, and things like being overbearing. Capricorn is associated with avarice, or I should say Saturn. Capricorn is the feminine expression of Saturn, so we get lots of kind of Cancer, Capricorn axis, avaricious feelings, kind of anxiety with the future, and the behaviors that we do when we're anxious about the future. This is stuff like giving gifts that won't be used, or giving the wrong gift to the wrong person. It's like, I don't know if anyone who celebrates Christmas, sometimes it's when that relative gets you that gift that you're never going to use, but you're grateful anyway. But it's like, it's a very really super generic or misguided type of gift, and you kind of like, yeah, I'm just going to have to use this or wear this that one time in front of them and then never again. Also, this Capricorn Mercury retrograde can, for some people, bring illness and trouble and worries in like other areas where we're not paying attention. So it's again like, especially for those people who have been trying to like boss something or someone that is not any of their business. It's also like just doing our job with Mercury in Capricorn and being reminded. Retrogrades are about stuff, so reversals, revisiting, reminders. So like being reminded to just do your job and not be a busybody at the same time, and also not going on wily fantasy trips. That kind of thing will really be checked in Capricorn season, when Capricorn season starts officially, especially. And we've got the measuring also of the distance achieved thus far for many people. So that's really what it's supposed to be. It's like a very reflective time. Again, we're getting this hearkening in of Capricorn season. Mercury is kind of like the hearkener. Mercury is the heralder, and Mercury is the first one this time in Capricorn. And the sun will soon, in like 9 days' time, be there as well. So measuring the distance that is achieved thus far. So like, what have you achieved thus far since like Aries season in the spring? And how proud of you? How proud are you, I should say, of that? And what have you collected? What have you gathered? How much have you saved? What certificates or qualifications have you gained? or what kind of medals or things you can boast about in a humble kind of way have you achieved? Um, and it's this kind of assessing and this looking back. And I would say also to look to your Capricorn house because these re themes will definitely be stirred for most people in at least one way that pertains to that house. Um, this is also kind of like getting your boss ass bish side back for many people, especially those who've been like kicked to the curb, or those who have been bullied, or those who have been um, forgotten or overlooked. Mercury retrograde in Capricorn can make things a bit sweet. Like the sweetness of the bittersweet Capricorn energy starts to come out. Um, of course, Capricorn is the devil, this archetype of the devil, and it's like being tested during a Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. So a lot of people will be tested by like things or people that are deliberately trying to trigger you. So something or someone is trying to trigger you. It's like a devil, little demon trying to prod you in a particular way, push your buttons. Mercury is the trickster god, and Capricorn is the goat. And goats love a good laugh. They love to get a kick. They love to eat your knickers and all that jazz. But it's like being tested. And I would say also because this is Mercury here, the god of languages and scripts and communications. It's like watching your tongue, watching what you say, uh, how you say it. But again, also in this kind of Sagittarius season way of like check yourself as well. Like check yourself on your own bullshit. Like and look in this reflective and kind of fucking funny way of just like why the fuck did I say that back then, or why the fuck was I like that back then? Like kind of looking at yourself and laughing at yourself a little bit. It's okay, and forgiving yourself in that way. Um, I think that will be a flavor of this transit for many people. And Capricorn season when it comes, and also Mercury in Capricorn retrograde can be like kind of going back in some nostalgic way in some sense. This is like an old man teaching you or teaching children how to make candy or something. This is like the Werther's original moments of life. This is like in the tarot, the Six of Cups, and again, this kind of remembering and this revisiting as well of elders, or like the childhood as well, revisiting childhood in some sense. And Mercury, is the baton passer. So some people might be receiving something during this retrograde from the past, like an actual thing or an actual thing that contains photographs or memories, and it can bring up a lot of nice things or nostalgic things. And this also kind of reminds me of that SZA song where she says, she's got that lyric, shit could be worse, never say that. And that's kind of very Capricorn season as well. But with Mercury here as well, we can kind of figure ourselves up by tempting fate with Capricorn. So not letting your thoughts kind of be the devil that you chain yourself to. We talked about this in Scorpio season, and this kind of stuff resurfaces in Capricorn season once it does come. Scorpio and Capricorn sextile each other, so they have this very shadowy, feminine way in which they both entice the spirit to lock itself into things and trap itself. And Capricorn, Mercury in Capricorn, especially retrograde, can be when we go back to unhealthy mental cycles or circles. And also, though, when we don't really watch what we're saying and we kind of tempt fate in a way, like something could be worse, or because sometimes we have this way, it's like making a deal with the god of time, which is Saturn. So making a deal with this god, this lord of time, with the very things that we say. They're like spells when we say some of these things, like I'll never find anybody better than that X, or I'll never have a better day than today. You need to really watch yourself when you say these things during this time, because it can be like a kind of genie, like, well, your wish is my command. And Capricorn energy is cardinal Earth. It's not going to hold back, and it can be like that crocodile you should not have smiled at, but you did. Um, anyway, I think also we do have a lot of good stuff because this Mercury retrograde, Mercury was stationing to go retrograde around this official new moon in Sagittarius. So I'm loving this energy. There's also some reception between the moon and Jupiter in Taurus, and the moon in Sagittarius. And so I would say also to listen to Taurians. If you have any Taurus heavy people in your life, watch them, take their advice, follow suit sometimes. And also just the Sagittarians around you and their kind of jolly, kind of knowing nods and their smiles and the shine, the glint in their eyes, and just the light, kind of hilarious, guffawing nature that Sag heavy people tend to have, but also the knowledge, because this is a very like Capricorn and Chiron and Scorpionic, very like feminine type of, or very feminine tinted Sag season this year. And it's in a rabbit year. So there is a lot of that kind of like deep, thick, murky earth from which a lot of things can later be cultivated or realized. Anyway, I'll stop there. Have a lovely, lovely or a funny or a lucky Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. That's all I'm going to say. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Love you.